While things have been very slow for FPS games, we got a big update on the progress of XDefiant. This is an upcoming free-to-play FPS arena shooter being developed by Ubisoft, and is taking the gunplay feel of Call of Duty and mixing it up with character abilities inspired by factions from other Ubisoft titles. A month ago there was a private playtest of XDefiant which I got access to. If you want my thoughts on the game and how it plays, I recommend you check out my previous video. They made an announcement that the next playtest will not be under NDA, which means anyone can stream, record, and share their own footage when the playtest is available. Right now though, we got a lot of news to talk about that we can expect from the next playtest, and there's a lot of really good news about the state of the game and what is important to the developers. They released an FAQ or Q&A, whichever way you want to look at it, about some of the more common issues that were in the previous playtest. There's also some info here that basically tells us this game could be ready sometime this year, and with that, let's break it down. The first question was about some server connection issues that happened at the start of the playtest. A lot of people couldn't get in within the first few hours because of this, and it also caused some matchmaking hitches once people started to get in. They say they know what the issue was, resolved it, and things should be prepared for the next time around. Remember, this is a free-to-play game, so once they open the floodgates, I can almost guarantee there will be some sort of connection issue day one regardless. However, I find this more as a non-issue as there's only so much that can be done to prepare for a large audience. Maybe I'm wrong and things will be just fine, and I do hope that this is the case. The next question is a big one and they go into detail as well. As for it to be question number 2, it seems to be important to the developers at XDefiant. The second question is about hit registration and server desync issues and what's being done about it. Now, one thing that was really bad with the previous playtest was the hit registration the game had. The netcode wasn't doing a great job registering hits on time. This would end up with players dying around corners and some inconsistent gameplay. The response to this and what's being done about it goes as follows. During the insider session, the team was using an incomplete version of their netcode as a way to test things out, and with that did come a lot of issues. However, here's what they had to say about the results and what's being done to improve it. With latency, they're making changes to reduce peeker's advantage. For those that aren't quite sure what that means, usually the attacker that's moving around the corner will have a small time window of landing shots on the opponent before the opponent can actually see them cross that corner. This is due to server latency and not updating in time for everyone to be on the same page. It's a common issue in many games like Rainbow Six Siege and Warzone, but to see XDefiant acknowledge that this can be an issue and taking steps to make it as minimal as possible is a great sign. The next point they made was improving the accuracy of the server and replica simulation. This one I can't really give insight on what it means specifically, but these improvements are to tackle hit registration and fairness. For the netcode and servers, the new system will be running at a 60Hz tick rate, including improved handling of information at a sub-tick level. We got a brief explanation what a sub-tick system would look like from the recent announcement trailer from Counter-Strike 2, which in short means that the server can still register your inputs between the typical server tick rates, which helps to make your movement and gameplay appear more accurate than simply relying on the server's own tick rate. The next change is processing player actions in time order within the server frame. The paragraph below that bullet point gives a small explanation. The way I read it, this is to help with the timing of the hit registration so that the server can better determine the timing of each bullet and who got the final shot off first. Server tick rates are a big deal to online FPS games, and while yes, servers can run at a higher tick rate of 120 or 128, if the developers can find ways to process information without everything being relied on the tick rate, it can fix the issue without having to pay for better servers. I do want the best experience I can possibly get and would love to see 128 tick servers be the norm, but we're not there just yet and hopefully we will be sooner than later. Until then, if we can find any fix that makes the experience better, I'm all for it. Going back to the Reddit post, we're told that from a development perspective that the work is complete. However, this netcode solution is being tested by QA and will not be available in the next playtest, but it will be shortly after. And this statement is what makes me think that XDefiant will be released publicly before the end of this year. Depending on when the next playtest is, it seems like once the playtest is over, we'll have a couple of weeks or a month or two to go before the game releases. Of course, we don't have any set dates other than the word soon. The next topic comes to the game crashing on Xbox. Unfortunately, with the playtest, the game was a complete disaster to get running on Xbox. The developers found out it was due to the game crashing when trying to load a large number of Xbox avatars for each player's friends list. The issue is resolved and the game should be playable on Xbox from here on out. Next up, there were issues with creating a cross-platform party. This issue is more complex than they originally thought, but it is now in a working state. So once the next playtest is available, this option should work. And this next topic is a hot button issue for any cross-platform FPS, and that is aim assist on controller. There isn't ever an easy answer to this, but their goal is to make sure that aim assist is not too strong and find the sweet spot. Of course, input-based matchmaking does make for the most fair matches possible. I believe the game will have a ranked mode, so it will be interesting to see what they do there, whether it would be a free-for-all or if there would be an input-based queue option the player can choose. And the last topic is actually about balancing the abilities of one of the factions. I wasn't really expecting to see this in a Q&A about the future of the game, but it's cool to see that they're already making those changes. Anyways, the changes being made to the faction called Libertad, who will have healing abilities. The change they made fixed an issue with passive healing giving a bigger boost than what they originally intended, and changing the Biovita boost ability by removing healing over time and the health boost lasting 4 seconds instead of 10. I personally did not spend a lot of time using this faction, but I did see a lot of players using them, so we'll have to see how this works in game. And that is it for the post. I'm really glad that they discussed the game server and netcode and what's being done on that front. I have high hopes for this game and what it can be. Let's hope they can stick the landing and keep the game fun and interesting for people to play in the long run. Let me know what you think about these announcements and what are your thoughts about XDefiant. Until then, I am Mr. Rain, and I'll see you next time.